Jake, I hope we're live.
Are you serious?
I mean, I had a couple things today that we haven't done this in a while. Okay, now that we did stream live recently, we have. But I just got to double check something real quick.
Aaron Lewis. But it is the last time we've been in the same room and back in the stewed.
Let's see if we have some comments up here.
Are you?
Hi guys, are we on? Are we live?
And we are live, Adam.
Are we? We see you. Hey, I guess we're live. I don't know, Jake. I don't know. So, Jake, how was your day today, buddy?
Wicked.
Was it?
Yeah.
Good day?
Absolutely not. But
oh, you had that thing.
We turned that around though. We turned that upside down, and a little bit of hydration. And oh yeah, I finished my water back there. Sorry about this guy. This is what you call dead air with the.
Isn't this fun? Isn't this great?
But I'm so
Mountain Stream, right?
Jake,
cheers.
So
Mountain Stream, guys. It's good to see everybody out there. We're doing Mountain Stream again. It's been a long time. We were gonna try to find the time to figure out just how long it's been, but we do know that this is the 15th one, and we have a very special guest coming up with us. We've been wanting to talk with.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, one of my main reasons for wanting to talk with the guy, other than he's down to earth and really chill, fun to be around, is the fact that he's squatching right here where we are, right here in the ADK. If you don't know who it is, I'm going to tell you who it is. Sasquatch Wizard, Adirondacks. Look him up. Look his channel up if you don't know about him.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a squatcher right here.
Get you a subscription.
He's out there squatching, going to these locations, and he said, "Oh, you got to go here." And then I was over here, and every single spot he's saying is like, it's just like right here where we live. Like not even just like in a wild. The Adirondack Park's big. You know, he could be like easily an hour drive from us, but he's not. He's right next to us, kind of. So,
he's up on Crane.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez Louise. So, in our backyard. That's
like a feather in our cap, and kind of like we want to check this off the list. Talk to Sasquatch Wizard. Get him on here. Let you guys have a discussion with him too.
Well, what I like about this cat is how detailed he is. He's a by the numbers guy, and he's out there with the measuring tapes and angles and degrees, and
very thorough. We went out. Me and Jake had one little adventure with him, and I got to tell you, right off the bat, I was like, "Oh, this is how you go real squatching."
Yeah, this guy knows his stuff.
So it was real fun to be with him. We'll probably talk a little bit about that at some point, hopefully. Maybe not. I don't know. But let's have him on. Let's start talking to him. And guys, let's if you got any questions for him or us, just put them in caps in the thing. We'll try our best to see what's going on there and here at the same time. And we're just gonna do our best to have a fun show.
Hey, Cash.
It's been a while, but let's get him on. And here he is. Everybody, the Wiz, Johnny Rafferty, Sasquatch Wizard, Adirondacks. What's up, man?
What's going on, gentlemen? Adam, Jake, how you guys doing this evening? Really appreciate you guys bringing me on, man.
Now,
good to hang out with some good guys.
Well, it's great to have you here. It's great to have you here. Should we call you? I have a couple things I'm wondering if we should call you or not. But for you would like to be called. Would you like to be called Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, just like that all the time? Would you like to be called Sasquatch Wizard? Would you like to be called The Wiz? Would you like to be called Mr. Rafferty? Would you like to be called John? Would you like to be called Jonathan? Or would you like to be called Johnny?
Or late for dinner?
Boy, just about every one of them, and late for dinner. Most of the
Sometimes it's best that way so you can stay squatching.
Yeah, heck yeah. I guess individuals have their nicknames for their friends, and to you guys, I'm the Wiz.
Yeah,
Wiz.
Yeah. To my mom, I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I think to a lot of my contractors, it's Jonathan or John. And then maybe formerly on YouTube, I'm Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. And I noticed that it's settling into SWA.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
really?
to type out, you know?
They like those. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
SWA has a real nice flow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Does.
right on.
Very 90s sound. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
So check this out.
Nobody beats the wind.
Nobody beats the wind.
Nobody beats the wind.
Nobody beats the wind. Nobody beats the wind.
I don't know.
Right on.
Nobody beats the wind.
Folks, I don't know if anybody remembers that old. It's like an electronic
Yes, I
store
do.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So just chop that up a couple.
Well, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
yeah. It's some funny stuff.
That's awesome.
So things are good in your world.
Yeah, things have been pretty smooth, average life, work, take care of the little one, run into a problem, take care of it, keep on living.
That sounds good. That sounds that's what it's all about, really. Not much
What it's
more
all
than that.
about. Try to enjoy yourself in between. The holidays were fantastic. I got all my decorations up. Christmas went really well for the little one. I'm still raising a young child, and that's just magical. That I think about how it's step by step, year by year, starting to fade away, and this is my last child, so I'm savoring every bit of it.
I know. Yeah. I don't have kids, but my sisters have kids, and they're all getting to the point now where like my niece is like the last one that's not quite growing quite up yet.
Yeah.
It's a process. Something to it. Hey, I wanted to start off for the crowd, for people who might not know you, and maybe for our knowledge as well.
Mhm.
What got you in? It's a two-part question, kind of. What got you into being a field researcher, looking for Bigfoot in the Adirondacks is part of it, and another part is like when you were a kid, were you kind of like interested in Bigfoot back then?
I would have to answer no to that. If it was, it would have been very minute and no more than I seen a picture or heard somebody talking about it, and that was the end of it. I didn't aggressively go after it as a child. I wasn't super excited about cryptids, reading books, and going down that avenue. My grandma Dot lived just over the bridge in Vermont. She spoke a lot about the Loch Ness monster, and her man claimed to have seen it out in the lake. And being around 7 years old, I don't know if I caught the part where they were winking each other and leading the kids on a little story, or if they were serious about it. That stuck to me pretty good. But I don't think anybody else in my family or no specific situation had ever arose about Bigfoot that kind of made me stop and think, wow, is that really real? And then life went on. It was all about Kelly, the business, work, children, build the house, 90 miles an hour. And so I'd have to say, no, it wasn't until really late in 2019 when I was just pretty much running out of stuff to look at that was interesting on YouTube. And for some unknown reason, I don't know if it was a video that may have popped up that I looked at and thought, well, let me click on it, or if I actually thought to type in Bigfoot. Once I did that, I just started watching one right after another. And boy, I guess, I could talk forever about all the stages, the Kool-Aid drinking that they call it now, where I was like, what? And then I kind of set out to go investigate this, to go find this. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, listen, now I'm watching a lot of these folks that are interested in this and they're going out looking for them. They don't know nothing about I don't mean to put them down, but I'm thinking you folks don't know what you're doing out in the woods. Like, I can tell just by listening to what you're talking about, you haven't a clue. Like, you haven't spent hours hunting in the woods and just playing in the woods and all that. So I thought, well, I'd be pretty good at this. And I was very heavily influenced by certain researchers. And I think I kind of went out there thinking to myself, I can do this. I want to see one of these. And also kind of playing the part too.
Excuse me, what'd you say there? It broke up for a second.
Almost kind of like playing the part.
Oh, playing the part. Okay.
That's the transition that I'm fading away from, where it was actually watching my own videos and thinking to myself, like, I understand you're trying to be sort of like professional about this and maybe a little bit of the showbiz thing, watching Les Stroud and how they conduct a show and trying to take tips off of them. And of course, I was heavy into discovering Bigfoot, and I was in total awe about all of that. And so, it's kind of like that was my influencer. And that's what really got me into it heavily. But I don't know, maybe a little better than a year, or maybe about a year ago or so, there was some issues that were popping up in some of the channels that I frequent, and some things were being brought to the table that were starting to make me scratch my head about the authenticity of certain things. I didn't really understand the world of CGI. So a lot of these pictures and stuff, I really didn't understand that people could make stuff that looked that real. I figured it would look, I could see it, be like, no, that's fake. You can't, that's fake. But I guess they're pretty good at it. And no specific pictures, but that in turn kind of made me draw back a little bit and think, boy, don't be so naive. You got to take some time to really think this out and listen to these other folks and how they're going about vetting their evidence, and not being so excited to see something that you think is Bigfoot and then just throw it out there. Take a little bit of time to investigate it. And it's still a work in progress. I mean, I really have only been, what was it? 2020 was the first year that I spent a lot of time out in the woods investigating the subject. And I was trying to do the best job I could. That was one thing that I had said to myself. I'm like, I don't want to go down that avenue where these people are faking it, or like trying to pull somebody's other picture and use that to make yourself look like you just saw a Bigfoot. And but I just didn't have any investigative skills. I didn't have a lot of skills that I needed. And I realized that you have to learn from others. So, it's been a lot of sharing techniques between other researchers and what they experience and how they're going about things, and incorporate that into your own work and a lot of your own ideas. I come up with a lot of really good stuff. I do a lot of really good work. And then I would say probably this past spring going into summer is when I started working on Tree Breaks Decoded. I really started doing a lot of studying and reading research papers, and had decided there's a huge debate on whether Sasquatch snap trees or whether they don't, whether they make stick structures or whether they don't. And I wanted to go out into the woods and discover every element that I could decipher myself that was caused naturally, because I figured if I can learn everything it isn't, I'll be able to recognize if it is much better than just looking for what it is.
Hmm.
because there's plenty of trees snapped out in the woods.
Sure is. Tons of
Yeah.
them. Speaking of people that maybe were influencers of yours as far as techniques go, maybe some of the techniques you share from other researchers. And
Mhm.
if you don't want to say their names, that's fine too. But
Yeah,
can you
no,
tell us maybe
yeah,
like three different of these
yeah,
people you look up to and admire and
yeah,
trust?
yeah, absolutely. So, one of which is Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot. Um, you know,
See, I think
sometimes Matt would post a video and he would be exploiting an idea, and I'd be thinking to myself, I was just thinking about that last week, and I thought it was pretty cool, the parallel thing that was going on there.
Mm.
And I could see that, he really had some camera skills and he had integrity, and you could trust what the guy, what he was saying. And so with those camera skills, which is quite a bit over my head still yet. So, I mean, I still try to double back and incorporate more of it as I go. But yeah, he was a big influence. Let's see. So there's said Steve Calls on
Mhm.
Squatch DTV.
Yeah, we know
Um,
him.
yeah, he has an investigative background, and they started pulling the trigger on some of these tools that you can use to vet out pictures and videos that
Cool.
people are posting, and that whole structure about how to sit back, absorb what it is that you're seeing, and don't jump to conclusions, vet it out. He does a good job of that, and a lot of people were feeding off of that as well. So let's see who else. Uh, Leon from Bigfoot Okanagan. Um, yeah, he's really adamant about making sure that what it is that you're investigating, spend some time to vet it, and he has, what he was showing everybody, how to carve the snow away on a track. Here I'm thinking I'm a pretty good woodsman. I can track pretty, I'm not a professional tracker, but I can recognize tracks, and thought I was good. But that one show that he did where he was carving the snow away and showed how to get down up underneath of it to where it was compressed so that you can actually see the actual track and what it is versus looking at the top of it and all the snow melt forming something that might look like a Bigfoot track. So instead of taking it as face value, he had a technique of how to get down there to the ground and see what track it was. I thought that was awesome.
It
And
is.
he's another one that has integrity and he speaks the truth. And
He's fun too.
yeah, he's a good guy.
He
Yeah,
is.
he's
He's
a
a
good
good friend of ours. Yeah, we like him a lot.
I got a question, John. Who taught you how to hunt?
Oh, that would be my father,
Okay.
Jeff Jordan,
All right.
um, and my grandfather, Jim Rafferty. So, I didn't get to hunt a lot with Grandpa because he was kind of getting to an age where he was out sawing wood, and I was out chopping it with him, and he'd go hunting with us, but on short runs at that time. He's just getting a little old. But yeah, my father would take me out to hunt, Jeff Jordan, and yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever hunt on Thanksgiving morning? Did you guys hunt on Thanksgiving morning?
Yeah, that was always a fantastic thing. Always wishing for snow and get with all the guys and head out Thanksgiving morning and maybe go knock one down and come back and eat turkey, watch football. Those were the days, man.
Sounds really cool, doesn't it? Right now.
Yeah,
Yes,
that sounds like a good day.
It sure does.
Man.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Hey, about you in being in the fields, you're out
Mhm.
there researching. I mean, that's your thing. Your thing is pretty much being in the field, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're great at it. That's what your show's about. Shows people a lot of different parts of the forest. Super cool, super fun. Have you had any experiences, if so, with Bigfoot or that you think might be Bigfoot? I'm talking not just a track or a tree break, but anything
Yeah.
aside from there, like a
Mhm.
visual or hear something or maybe smell something.
Okay. So there's been a handful of instances that I could assume. As far as a full-on visual, so there was a long camera shot that I was in the middle of investigating a tree break, and I had the camera on, and I was shooting way down into these hemlocks off the edge of this swamp. And I looked in the camera, and what it appeared, and the sun was behind it, and it appeared to just look like shoulders and a head, the perfect outline of a Sasquatch, but I could only see it from right about, chest, bottom of your rib cage up. And I'm looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, and I was like, well, I'm thinking, should I just stay right here and keep it right on it? And I did for a second, and I'm like, no, I should start moving in. I've got to start moving. I can't just stay here because this really might be it. I only moved just a little bit, and I just couldn't even see anything. And then I went back to where it was that I was standing, which was only just like 7-8 feet back. And I thought I was looking, I'm like, I'm standing right in the same spot. And I'm looking down there and I can't see nothing. Well, I nonchalantly just stood there thinking, well, I'm not going to run down there or whatever. I'm going to go down there and check for tracks. But like I was kind of like just dumbfounded, trying to figure out, what do I do? Do I just sit down and just sit here for 2 hours? Do I go right down there? All this is going through my head. And then I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, it's probably just another tree stump or whatever be it. I'm right here with this tree break. This is what I wanted to do today. So I started to continue on filming the tree break and everything else and start working my way down that way. And then my SD card ran out and I didn't know it. And I never had any of that.
It's a classic story, but
Yeah.
we've lived that type of stuff so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either a battery. One time, where we went over there at Muller together?
Yep.
So I was there before. I've been there a couple times. I was there before. Jake was with me. My phone, perfectly it was charged to the max.
Yeah.
Maximum. And it was it was in the car charger on the way from here to the car. Got out, made sure the thing was charged. I mean, we were shooting for not even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, Jake. We got to use a different camera. This thing, if we bring this into those woods, it's going to die. And I had to shut it off. It was like just about ready to die.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I mean, the rest of the cameras were fine now. I don't know what was up with that one. It's just stuff is weird. Yeah. Stuff is weird.
Well, I've had a thermal. I still got to check in, and this is a perfect situation. I may have made a gesture. It could have even been on a video briefly, but there was a situation with my thermal camera, and this was the last 2 videos that I posted. It wasn't those 2. It was the week prior to that. There was a big storm coming up. It was like Hurricane Nicole or something, the remnants of it. And I had decided, as Adirondackers and deer hunters, we all know that a lot of guys have knocked down some big bucks in really bad weather. And I've heard the stories. Yeah, you can, those big bucks will get out there in that really bad weather because they know the humans ain't running around. That's what was running through my head. And I thought, well, I got to drop Camille off. Whatever, I'll head right on up in there. And I got up there by the first flow, and there's a lot of weather going on, but out in front of me, all of a sudden, and I have this on audio, I have to do just what I'm doing with this other one, get it all vetted first. Now that I've uploaded Audacity, I'll be able to do a better job once I learn how to run that. But either way, to me, it sounded like that brush was shaking back and forth. whether it was going up and down, side to side at an angle, I have no idea. But it wasn't like some brush falling and going. It wasn't like that. It was. Now I don't. That's what it said to me. All right, there was what was going on in my head. Something shaking, something right there in front of me. And so I'll give you just a little tidbit. I have looked at the videos. I have I've done quite a bit of work on it. And it very likely could have been a black bear. There in that area where it was at, there was some fallen trees where the tops were pointing out towards where I was standing. And if a bear had gotten up into that, hearing me coming or something, and decided to, like, maybe I didn't hear it huffing. Maybe I didn't hear that. Maybe all I heard was it stomping, and maybe it was up on that tree and just. I'm thinking that's one hypothesis. I searched the area for Bigfoot tracks. I didn't find none, but I did find one 9-inch track, but I think it's a double bear step. I have that. I have a small little clip on a video that eventually everybody will see this. And there was 3 very prominent tracks that went up through this little bit of a gut. And right now, my number one hypothesis is that I had a black bear in that swamp in front of me, and it was letting me know, you've gotten close enough.
Uh-huh.
Would I like to think it was a Bigfoot? Yeah, but I have nothing. I have nothing on camera. I didn't see anything right there in front of me on thermal. And then with the thermal, it shut off. Now I have an auto shut off, but it shows up in bright green letters and it gives me 30 seconds and it counts down. So with my audio and the video, I've been trying to decipher when the auto shut off came on and when the thermal actually shut off. So that's part of the investigation. Was there enough time when I put the thermal down and I was talking about what's going on in front of me? It would have had to been the second I took it away from my eyes, that pop-up would have had to come on. I think it was like 29 seconds. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's pretty darn close to when, if that came on there and the countdown started, by the time I picked that thermal back up to look at it again, it had gone off. And I didn't know why it went off. I thought it ran out of battery. I get back to the truck and it's got battery.
Huh. I wonder if they could install a little chime on that thing, so it would first give you a little ding ding ding, and then
nice,
that thing's going to come up. Because if you set it down and you hear that, you're going to be
30,
like, "Whoa!"
30 seconds, that's a,
it counts down for 30 seconds, right?
It does. It's in
must have been
fluorescent green letters right across your screen. It'll pop right up, auto shut down 30 seconds, and then it'll say 20 seconds. And then when it gets to 10, it counts down. I thought like vibration mode, because you're going to have the thermal in your hand. So you know how your phone will vibrate? You can turn it on vibrate if somebody's calling, so it's not ringing. I was thinking, man, if they put a little vibrate mode in those thermals, so when it's going to go off, because a lot of times you're out there with your thermal and you're just going to leave it running. Because if you see something and it's going to take off, by the time you turn that on and it boots up, that could be gone. So a lot of times I like to have my equipment running. Well, if you have to look at something else or through a different camera and you have it down, there's no way to know that it's going to shut off unless you're looking through the viewfinder. So if it had vibrate mode, you'd have it in your hand and go boom,
and it wouldn't make any sound.
Better hit the reset. I'm good for another however long it is.
Speaking of gear like that, you have some pretty cool tricked out stuff that me and Jake were admiring. Really cool stuff. If you wouldn't mind just talking to people about what kind of gear you use, and then kind of like what's your favorite stuff to use.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you have something that you're like, this is what I use this the most because this is what I like the most, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe.
I really do like the thermal. So maybe I should start back at the beginning. Going up into the woods for the very first time, the only thing I had was an iPhone 7. First camera that I bought, which is still the camera that I have, is a Canon Vixa HFW10. I bought that camera because it advertised that it could go 16.9 feet underwater and still operate, and that it was it could take a hell of a beating, shock proof. That's what it was raving.
What?
Yeah. So that camera filmed very well right out of the box. Then I wanted to see at night. So, I didn't have a lot of money to work with right then, and I was kind of, in a hurry. So at Walmart, I picked up a stealth cam. It's very generic, has a very small window of view. It's black and white, but once I turned that on up there in the dark and I could actually see, I was fascinated. And I said, oh, it's on now, baby. And because I don't really have too much of a problem walking around in the woods at night. Sometimes there are times when it will get to me and I'll let it start getting to me a little bit, and I'll hook on out and go find something else to do, especially if I hear them coyotes. But I that night vision, that was pretty cool. And with that night vision on the edge of a pond, Base Camp 2020, I was viewing across the pond, and unfortunately I hit a bunch of the camp smoke out of my fire, and I had this hooting sound that sounded it sounded to me like it wasn't an owl, because at that time I didn't realize that owls could make that variety of calls per se. Your average owl call, whoo, 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 or just a solid whoo. Whatever it was across that pond was up in a tree, and this all happens very quickly. I have the night vision, and I've been scanning that pond forever, so it's just getting almost to the point like, why am I doing this? But you got to keep doing it. You just have to keep doing it. You got to put your time in. You got to be on point, have your equipment ready, and be at the ready, because when it does happen, it's not going to do you no good other than conversation if you don't have the equipment running. So I'm looking, and all of a sudden I think that whatever it was saw the IR of my camera. That's my hypothesis, because the second it hit where those rock ledges are, all of a sudden I heard woo, 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 and it was that. It wasn't woo, 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 like an owl or anything. I mean, it was woo, 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 woo. And while that's happening, you hear snap. Now that I have video, I found the stick. It's about a 3.5 inch dry pine limb. I found where it snapped off. It was probably about 25 feet up in the air, and it was snapped off at about, I'd say, 28 inches out. And when I look at that, even back then, I'm thinking, I've stood on those as a kid. Now I know about how far you can go out before you might want you're gonna go down, you know.
Going on like this, hanging on to one and seeing how far you go out. Yeah,
exactly. We've all climbed in the trees and been in them white pine. I can't see a 9 or 10 pound owl, even if it went to take off and put all of its body weight down. It couldn't snap that stick.
No way.
And I'll get that put together. That was part of a 2020 expedition into the Southern Adirondacks that is still sitting in that old beat up computer. We'll deal with that another time. But with the night vision camera, that was pretty exciting, and I got to use that quite a bit then during that time. Another time with that camera was walking up in, and I hadn't got even a 50, 75 yards from my truck at the top of the hill, and I was in crunchy snow. And I hear deer taking off all the time, and you can usually make them out. I mean, they run away or walk away, or they have them characteristics that we recognize. You know, if you've been around deer enough up in the woods, they just have the way about themselves. He's like, oh, that's a deer. To my left, it sounded like my buddy Bert Carson was walking, stepping, and not even 20 foot in the woods right there. And I've got my night vision in one hand. I've got my cell phone in the other. And I think I was doing a video. No, I might have started the video right after that to bring this situation in. And right to the left of me, I'm telling you, it sounded like somebody had taken just about 3 or 4 steps. Crunch, 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 crunch. And all my insides just went, oh my God, like who's right there? And I got that little night vision camera, and I'm like, well, I can see, but I can't see nothing. There was no tracks over there. Like, I to the day have no idea what I was hearing right there. I don't know, man.
Kind of like
now, I will tell you this. I only walked just a little bit more up the trail. And then from up off of the back side of me, I could hear like a projectile. I say okay, so you're out playing golf, you're over in the woods trying to find your golf ball. Nobody yells for, and you hear one coming through all the trees. Tick, 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 tick. Well, it did. Came from behind me, way up high. It wasn't coming on a horizontal trajectory. It came from way up top, but at a diagonal, and it landed in the swamp ahead of me. So all of that right there was only minutes apart. And then off to the right of me, that crunching around sounded like a deer. But off in the distance, I could hear stopped. And I'm moving forward. A little bit after that, I was going up to drop off, I think it was like a banana and an apple or something. I've never done much gifting, but at that time, I think I was bringing up a banana, and it was more out of kindness. It wasn't like to draw in a Sasquatch. I just felt bad that they were freezing to death up there. And at that time, you couldn't have told me that Sasquatch weren't everywhere. I thought they were everywhere. They're just out there, and they're going to know I'm a great guy, and eventually I'll see one because I'm so good up in the woods. So I think I was just bringing them up like here you go, have some bananas and stuff. And I got up around that first swamp, started walking out there, and all of a sudden I hear a dog barking off in the woods. And I'm thinking where I'm at, I'm like, is this a stray dog? And okay, all right, I claim to be a bit of a woodsman, but I couldn't search the computer in my head to say, do coyotes bark like a dog? I mean, I know they do the yipping and the yiping when they come out of the den and they're all communicating and getting ready to go. You know, I know that the lead dog, when they're hunting, they got a couple solitary calls that they'll make, you know, to let each other know where they are and what they're doing on the hunt. But this was a dog, like a house dog barking. Yeah. Matter of fact, there's a video. It's I was watching who's that guy there, the alligator guy, or no, the guy that catches crocodile or turtle man.
Turtle Man?
Yeah, Turtle Man used to say live action. I was watching him back then, and that's how I put in the video, live action. But yeah, that dog, it started barking, and well, I tried something there. And I was like, well, I'm going to try to do my best impersonation of a Sasquatch. I'm going to try to project a Sasquatch back at it, scare this thing off. So I started letting into it, and it would tone down and wait for a little bit. And I thought, well, there, I scared that away. But then when I said, well, I came up here to do this, I'm going to go ahead and get this done. and then it started barking again. And then it came in kind of a little bit closer. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So I had to get one device put away, and I got my knife at the ready because I'm like, I don't want to have to do this. But, I had a little issue as a kid out behind the middle school with the neighbor's Rottweiler when I was playing basketball, and that didn't go over so well for that dog. And it scares the shit out of me, them things. So, I didn't want to have to do anything to anybody's dog, but I was ready. And so I tried to, do more Sasquatch calls at it even louder. Well, all right, the dog's, starting to just maintain a distance. But what I remember was way in the hell and gone off while all that's going on. And I stopped one time and I'm waiting for this thing you gonna bark in. It's so quiet. You could hear a pin drop 40 yards away. All of a sudden, way off, I hear, I can't mimic it. All I know that at that distance away, it was a loud, "Ooh." I didn't know if it was cat-like. I don't know if it was coyote. It was single tone, and I remember hearing it way off in the distance. I get back to my truck. Finally, I'm decided I'm going back. I get all the way back to the truck, and I remember getting down by the truck, and I started to walk down the road to see if somebody had walked up in. Like, did somebody come up here and they're up here with their dog, or are they looking for their dog that's out running rabbits or something? They got loose. I just start to break off the hill just a little bit, and all of a sudden I hear something up on the bank coming right down the bank. I turned around. I'm like, rah! I mean, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why my body said to do that, but I did. I just came right back at it like it's on. When I get up there, there's like nothing there. Now I know I wasn't hearing things. I was back in my truck. I wasn't worried about nothing. I just heard it coming. So that has to be the end of it. I have no track. I have no sign of Sasquatch. I can't say that Sasquatch. It can be everything but Sasquatch. So what do you do with something like that? It's just a story. But if it was Sasquatch, maybe someday when a real Sasquatch encounter happens and you can see live for yourself a true reaction to you being in there and see the tracks and see how they interacted with you, maybe then I can look back at it and say, hey, maybe that was then, because it showed very similar signs. If I wanted to tell a big fat story, I could have said that might have been Sasquatch mimicking a dog over in the woods. And I think I had another Sasquatch way over on the mountain calling, and they were triangulating me, right? And I could have said they followed me all the way back to my truck. And maybe they followed me all the way up in, because when I first got started, what was that there?
Yeah.
Why can't I find the tracks? So that's the end of it, I guess, with that. And then I got a FLIR TK Scout. That was pretty cool. Right out of the gate. My cousin Darren thought it was pretty cool. He was in the military. He says, I got to get one of these. And it did not take me long before I realized that, sun just sets in the afternoon, and little pieces of sun beams are hitting pieces of tree all over and rock and everything else. And they have just enough warmth to have tons of other things, signatures are showing up. Yeah, that's another great guy right there. Joe Snyder from Western New York Bigfoot investigation group. He's another one. And there's Nikki from Hairy Man Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. She does a great job investigating. I mean, she really tears into it, and so does it Brent from the Tall Ones. And they're a great team of folks. I'm so fortunate to be able to be in their chats and learn from them. And I love those guys, and you guys too. I've watched every one of your videos,
Are you
bottom all the
serious?
way up, and you guys have done some serious work, and you don't mess around. You get right at it. I wish I could do more of that, and I'm trying to be more proactive and less procrastinating. But yes, Joe Snyder, I am definitely gonna, partake on a piece of your journey across New York State. So Joe from Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group is going to be taking a trail that traverses across the bottom half of New York State. And he's probably going to get upset with me. Joe, can you pop up the name of that trail? I keep wanting to call it the Appalachian Trail, but I don't think that's the name of it. The Allegheny Trail or something. He might pop it up here in a second, but either way, yeah, there's boy, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Leon, he's kind of works with
Now his channel's Bigfoot Shenanigans.
Bigfoot Shenanigans.
Right? Is that one? Bigfoot Okanagan.
Right on. Yeah, he
We
works
love
with
you.
Thomas Steenberg and those guys.
Sure. All right.
Steve from Curious Cryptids, he's another one. He's does some nice analysis, and he's Rocker Gepta. Tell you what, I don't know where else Rocker, where else you chats you visit, but I'm going to personally say that fella right there has got some smarts and some experiences. He is that guy's a class act right there.
Good to know.
I've worked along with him on when I was I was hosting the After Todd Standing's podcast. We do like a after chat, and I was helping with that, and Rocker would be in there on that. We'd be engaging in questions and stuff, and I've had a lot of conversation with him. He's a good individual. He's got a lot to offer in this field. So that FLIR TK, eventually I realized pretty quick that it just didn't have the resolution and the power, and it was deceiving. So it was misleading. At long distances, it was not something you could rely on. You see a heat signature and it's bouncing all over the place. You'd think it was movement. Very similar to what may have been the situation with my good FLIR here recently, but I don't think so. And I have some evidence to prove that it wasn't now. I just got to finish it up and so I can present it proper. But I can say right now it wasn't a Sasquatch, but it wasn't good possibility. It was another living being here in the Adirondacks. So I ended up buying a FLIR LSX, and when I got it, I was like, wow, the difference in night and day between that other FLIR. It was crystal clear, powerful, had a 3x zoom, really good resolution. You could really reach out there and see what you need to see, and it was pretty crisp. But I thought, I read, that it did video, and I thought it recorded video internally. But what it did was it came with an RCA cord that plugs into it, and you got to get an additional monitor. So although I've been wanting to get a monitor that has like an SD card so that you can record what it is that you're looking at, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm probably going to have to make like a observation station to have equipment set up, because I'm not necessarily don't want to be walking through the woods with a monitor in my hand and a FLIR in my other hand. I need one hand free, to grab bear spray or a knife, and if I have to, I don't want to be all wadded up in wires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what you have for protection is bear spray and a knife, but no pistols or anything more heavy duty.
Yeah, no, I can't bring a gun up into the woods. Not yet. Probably get that taken care of this year. I'll probably be
Okay.
able to get that taken care of. Yeah.
Speaking of protection and taking care of yourself, what's the scariest event that you can remember having in the woods?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was a question earlier in the chat. I
Yeah.
didn't know how to bring it up, but now I learned how. Look at this.
Well, since I've been involved in investigating Sasquatch, and I've had a couple of instances that have really got me in the gut and it got me going. There is a situation when I was a child, but I've thought a lot about that, and I actually, and maybe they're watching right now, so I'll just let the cat out of the bag. I would like to sit with Steve Calls and Leon from Bigfoot Okanagan and sit down with them and talk to them about this before I would, and maybe I never will talk to anybody else about it. But
Mhm.
yeah.
So we'll have to wait for that one, and we're all dying to hear because this is very
Yeah.
interesting, and I'm
Yeah.
excited. I can wait. I want you to do it the right way. That's like
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
reason, like a lot of the reason why we're talking.
But I mean,
Right
you
on.
are here.
And so outside of that, I did get quite a scare. It's funny because I was listening, going through some footage as I'm organizing all of my video, every bit of my data, and I've finally learned how to do this. I have external hard drives and everything's getting labeled, every single video, every picture, dated and put into external hard drives so that when you ask me, hey, back in, 2020 and around June, this happened. Remember you were talking about, oh yes, hold on. I can pull that right up.
Wish I could do
Bingo.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm on that, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was up and I'm walking after I had casted a track, and I had something that was, as soon as I was done casting the track and the sun's done gone down, and all you see is, just the twilight, the difference between the dark mountains and a little bit of light sky. And out west, you can just see a little pink hue that, the sun went down over there. All of a sudden, I think it, like, again, same thing, could have been a great big old hefty owl right there in the hemlock where I just walked through to get where I was at, and I have to go right back through there. I can't see any. It's just dark, and from that point right there, I'm like, oh man. I'm like, I am not walking all the way around this pond and going all the way up the other side of that. There could be just what's there right over there. So there's no, so you're already a mile and a half up into the woods. You aren't running from an animal up here. You might as well take it on head on. And I was just like, the hell with it. So I'm going right in there. There's a lot of underbrush. I didn't like to have to walk through that. And sometimes I'll go up higher on the ridge to get out of it. It's kind of real brushy when you get closer to the pond, clearer when you get up into the hardwoods. But I just decided to make ample amount of noise. I'm not going to be stealthy. I'm coming through with strength. Whatever it is down there, we're either going to have it out right now because I don't want to deal with this fright. And I'm coming. So boom, I'm headed right in there. Nothing else happened. Whatever, no problem. I make it through that. My nerves are going, getting normal. Let's get through all that brush. And I got quite a little jaunt up the side of this pond. It's very long. And as I'm walking the first couple of times, I just, sometimes you think you're hearing something, but I'm thinking something else. So it's like goes over my head. But after a while, I was like, I heard it again. All right. So I keep going. Now I'm gotten all the way up to just before what I call the rock ledge side. It's a camping area. And just prior to that, I hear it kind of off to my, I would say, to my 7 o'clock probably, and up on the hill, and maybe maybe 35, probably more like 40. Kind of sometimes I'll, I say honestly, like 40 yards, probably about 40 yards up in there, up on the hill, I hear it. And to me at that time, right off the bat, I mean, it really sounded like it could be a deer, but I'm thinking, all right, you're going away, right? You just heard me, you saw me, and now you're going away. So I keep walking. And as I'm walking, I heard it through my walking a little bit. And so I stop. I do this a few times as I'm working my way towards the ledge side campsite. Sometimes when I stop, it would be still walking. Other times I'd stop, I wouldn't hear nothing. I'd start walking and I'd hear it coming again. And then just before I got to the campsite, walking up that little hill, that's the first time that it picked up pace. I'm like, oh shit. So I get through the camp area, down over the hill. Now I have a small little stretch to work my way to the first little bay. And as I'm coming down off of the hill going, now I know what's up in the woods up here really well. There's a small little knoll goes up, then it drops into this ravine. It's probably about, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 yards long. It's like a cut in the ground from the camping area. Okay, so from the camping area, it goes up a slight grade, and then it dips down and then goes right up a cliff that's only about, I don't know, 40, 50 feet high, and it plateaus off the top of it. So that little gut right up through there, if you wanted to sneak on somebody, that's right where you would go, right up that gut, and you'd know they're right over the bank from you. That was on my mind, and I'm walking down the trail, and all of a sudden I hear this, and it starts getting louder. And the first time I just spun around, and I'm like, hey. And at that time, I didn't have my light on or nothing, because I'm okay with walking in the dark, especially if I know, that I'm gonna be on the trail and I'm not gonna trip and fall and smash my head open or something like that. So, all right, now I'm gonna turn my headlamp on. So I'm getting nervous, and I get my phone out, turn my phone on. It kind of makes me feel like, I don't know, it gives me a reason to talk or whatever. My headlamp on, make a little human action here. And I no more than took just a few more steps, and I spun around. I'm like, hey, I was like, that was enough, Then at one time I spun around with the headlamp, and I hear something like right up close to me, and I thought it was a frog. And it wasn't. It was like a little mouse, and it was like, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, no, you can tell the difference between something that's way up in there, that's heavy, that's stepping like a deer. To be honest with you, I was almost thinking that it might have been a deer, that it could have been, because there's multiple times I had been up there that I bring up a 1 gallon freezer baggie of birdseed, and I buy the fruit and nuts with the birdseed. Was it in 2020? I think it might have been 2020 that I was doing it maybe a little bit too much, and I was having a little bit of issue with the bear, and I think the bear was getting used to me coming up in there bringing food. So I think when it heard me up there whistling, this is my hypothesis, I think that the bear was like, oh, there's the guy that brings all the snacks, because I don't know, I might be able to find that video quick if you want me to, but I saw little baby cubs, and I filmed a mama bear, and I never even knew I did it until I got the video back in the studio and looked at it. But with the situation that happened, that put a bit of a fright. That got, because I couldn't see what it was. I couldn't see it on thermal. I was like, what is making this really strong, stiff? But it was like if you had, oh God, like just a regular stick like that. So you know how you guys, you got to tell me that if you heard of feet, big boots or something, stepping on the ground 20 foot from you in the leaves, you can tell the difference between that and me taking this stick and driving it in the ground. This is very small. It doesn't have a lot of area that it covers. So that's what I was battling against. It, although it had weight, it sounded very prancy. So that's why I thought it might have been a deer. And I thought maybe the deer was following me. But because I couldn't see it, it was getting to me. And it really, from that point moving forward, once I got over the yelling at it, I started thinking to myself, is this it? Like, is this a Sasquatch? And like my heart started racing and I started like my cheek started tingling and it started coming over me like, oh my God. So I start walking up a little further. There's this little spot where you have to cross the creek. And as soon as I went into that little valley type thing where this brook comes out of another little flow and comes down through, I got this humongous whiff of like just very foul, mucky, swampy. It could have been beaver. Could have been beavers working the beaver dam and they were just there in the creek and beaver caster. I mean, maybe they, but it was strong, man. It was a very strong smell. It did have some earthy to it, but it had enough pungent to it where it just wasn't like dug up earth. So I don't know what it was, but it was strong and it hit as soon as I went to that creek and I'm like, wow. So all of this is going through my head and it was scaring me. And I think back to it and like maybe another day it wouldn't have bothered me as bad, So I end up getting over there to the main trail where you go up the hill and start to head out. As I'm walking up the trail, get to the top, all of a sudden, all that starts to go away. But it went away to the effect that it like I was so completely calm. And now it's, I don't know. It had to have been 9:30, 10. So it's summertime. So it didn't get dark till 9. So we're probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I would have to check the audio and the tape, but just trying to remember. I got very, very calm, very at ease with everything that was going on. But then I was still hearing little noises and little things that were weird. And I'm trying now, I've got the whole researcher thing back on. I'm not overcome with fear. I'm back on to, listening and trying to check it out. And I'm running these multiple videos. And I think there was like 4 of them. After that, I don't think I was running a video when I used that FLIR TK Scout. And on the right side of me, there was this clicking noise. It's what I don't talk about much. There was this clicking noise to the left of me, and it was down low, and I don't know what it was. I couldn't tell what it was, but there was a clicking noise. To the right of me, be it that I've been on that trail so much, I knew what was right there aside of me. There's this small patch of 10, 12 foot tall hemlock trees. And it's very thick there, but everything behind it and up on the hill and then moving up is all wide open hardwood. So I'm like, whatever's right there, I'm going to be able to see it. And something started stepping, very familiar to that first story that I had told you earlier about the big heavy steps to my left in the snow.
Yeah.
It wasn't that heavy, but it was of that magnitude, right off to the kind of just off to the right of me in them hemlocks. And I get the FLIR right up. I've got it hanging off my neck. I've got a bunch of devices with me. I got my phone, I have my camera, I have the FLIR, and I get the FLIR up and I'm looking in there, and in those hemlocks on the ground, I'm staring at this white heat signature. I had it on black, white hot. Well, it would have been white hot if that's what it was, but I get to be honest with you. So I'd have to think, was it on white hot? Had to have been on white hot. The trees were dark. So the hemlock trees were dark. But either way, I see this white thing on the ground. And what I was thinking then is I was like, is that a Sasquatch laying on the ground right there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It never moved or nothing like that. I know that I heard something walking on the bank and I couldn't see it with that flare. And I was there for quite some time. And I start walking forward. As I start walking forward and working my way ahead, I'm looking over there in the same area and I don't see anything. It just don't look the same. So was it anything? Probably not. Probably absolutely not. Knowing that FLIR TK, it could have been some, stone underneath the moss or something like that. And those are one of those things that I never went back to go back and look at, like what's in that little hemlock tree. I ended up with that FLIR TK. One night I decided I wanted to walk on the road, and I had this idea to put the FLIR in my armpit facing behind me and just walk in the dark up I'll call it the main road, but it's Peyton Aram Road. And I was walking up that. I had to delete a bunch of videos to have enough room to do it on. And even though I was looking at each one of the videos, I couldn't remember what I had on there taped. I just deleted a bunch of them, and I deleted that. But what would it have been worth anyway? It was no movement, just one of those things.
I've done something like that, like you're describing, more than once.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have enough space. Well, this isn't really that. Then you can't find it because you deleted it. Hey, I wanted to just bring something up real quick. As something, when you said you heard something like it was shaking leaves back and forth, and you thought it might have been a bear.
Yeah.
Me and Jake, we were back in Muller where we took you.
Okay.
And it was a calm day. And then all of a sudden in the canopy, there was like a bunch of maple trees here or beech trees here. There's a bunch of hemlocks scattered around, large old growth, and a couple younger beech trees, I think, going up through, creating this canopy maybe 25 feet ahead, above us, up there. Yeah. And like this noise came through, but it wasn't like this singular wind just came through right to that spot and blew those leaves. It was like in the leaves, in like these huge like beech branches, how they like overlay like that.
Yeah.
And it was like something was taking one of those big ass limbs and going like a palm frond, going back and forth like.
Okay.
And then I'm looking up, I'm like, what is that noise? It's crazy. That's not how wind sounds. And I'm like looking up there, and I just caught the end of the leaves rustling around. And like Jake's over investigating just up the way.
Yeah. Right
next to us. And then we scoured the canopy all around looking for anything that it could be like a living something up there big enough to do that. And we had a pretty decent view.
Yeah.
And there was nothing up there. And certainly nothing that those trees could have maybe even held the weight of something strong enough to do that either, because, they were kind of younger trees. Very strange, though. So I just wanted to say, back and forth, we've experienced something like that we don't know what it was. And we were there, and we looked around really well. There was nothing.
Well, that's what it's going to take. You have an experience and you listen to an experience that I may have. Maybe it's going to be a year from now when we hear another very similar experience. All of those are going to be little side notes to remember, and nothing could come of it. Or maybe there'll be a discovery, and maybe it's not anything to do with Sasquatch. Maybe it's another animal or another, natural occurrence for some reason, but eventually observing and taking notes, remembering, sharing information and learning from each other, we'll start crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and finding some answers.
Learning more.
Yeah.
Adirondack Mothman. That
never know.
That big owl.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on.
Could be. You're out in the field. You're field researcher, do you have any like original wizard techniques that you want to let us know about, or anything that you maybe your top three certain
Oh,
things that you like to do when you're out in the fields?
geez. Well, I can't say sitting up in a tree stand for hours on end is anything that, you know, nobody else does. I'm sure they do. I went, I do like to get in my ghillie suit and go up into the mountains at night. And I like to get on a ridge where I'm on one mountain and then it valleys down. And there's some areas that I know of where I know looking straight across, there's white pine on the edge of a steep bank where there's holes where I can see with my thermal. Um, I like to watch all the wildlife. I like to listen to them. It's quite fascinating at night. It's amazing how much comes out at night
Big time.
and how little they carry you there. I will tell you that wild animals, a lot of the times, they call them stupid if you want, but deer, same thing. In the daytime, they see you, they're gone. At nighttime, they know that you can't see very well in the dark. So for whatever reason, a lot of animals, they'll just stop and they'll just look at you and wait for you to go on by. But you can tell their demeanor is, you stupid human, you can't even see me. You can't see out here. It's they feel a lot more comfortable coming out. So you get a lot of chances to see the animals more at night than you do during the day. They're always hiding in the daytime.
They're impressive. Here in the Adirondacks, got a lot of different things going on.
So you asked me if I have any other techniques, and I want to answer your question because but I don't want to boast. Okay, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to show off. So I'll just simply say yes. When I see a situation, the way I like to address it, if it's interesting, is to get my notebook out, get out my ruler, get out all of my measuring devices. I'm already on recording the weather data.
Sure.
I used to get a little too elaborate, wasting a lot of time writing it out, but now I have some nice weather sources where if I want the weather to any location, I have it right here at the computer at the ready. So other than now just writing down the basic weather data in my notebook for the day, that's the extent of that. If I really need precise weather, I simply just punch in the date and exactly where I was, and I can get some very, very precise weather.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I actually
love that.
I thought somebody might ask me about that. So one of them is HTTPS. Boy, I don't know all these abbreviation things, but www.timeanddate.com /moon/USA/. That's one of them. They do a pretty good job. And the Weather Underground, they're another one that does a good job. Other than that, taking all of the measurements and writing all that data down, depends on what you're investigating. If it's forest material, then you have to be pretty thorough about the ecology around you in the general area, not just where you are in that 10 by 10 area. You may be on the north side of a ridge where there's a lot of moss and a lot of different type of ecosystem than there would be on the southern side of a mountain. And so measurements, identifying the plants and the identifying the biology and the ecosystem in that area might not seem too important, but if you don't have that data to go back on, then when you do run into something that's really important, you got to make sure that you have them little tidbits, them little pieces. All that information will start to culminate and make sense.
Can make
and
lines.
you need it. So I try to be very thorough about that. Yeah.
You're like a blanket, Wiz. You're like a
Thanks,
blanket.
buddy.
Like
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
you're like
it is impressive.
you
my
broke
friend.
he
Very
broke it down like Sherlock Holmes. He had like 3 different possible debunctions like right off the bat, you know. So it's cool. You're always looking, you know.
yeah, I
Well, you know,
appreciate
it could be this, but no, it was crazy. Like right off the bat, like 3 times up in Muller, it was like boom, boom, boom.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of Muller, you know, and like out of respect for you guys in your area, you know, I've done quite a bit of work. I got to get with you guys here and show you what I've done. You guys know I got a hold of you and I went up there. I was at that location with that one tree that's bent all the way back up and underneath. That is very intriguing. I've done quite a bit of work with that location. And I actually have a preliminary report. Actually, yeah, you're at top on the list right here because I go back to that every now and then. So this is when I went back up there. It starts I went back up there October 6th and diagrammed. No, maybe that was the first time we went up there, was it? When we went up there together? Yes, that's when we went up there together when we first see it. And then I have the continue Muller Pond is right here. That's where it is right here. I went back up in there and did a lot more work. And then I came to my conclusion and signed it off. So I'll get with you guys, you know, because I was so excited about what you had showed me and get to work on it that I never really got any good video of us together or conversated with you guys too much. You showed me that and I was like a starving dog on a piece of meat.
We loved it. We were impressed with the, just boom. You got to get after it.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna go to the fridge and get myself another seltzer, maybe some fresh waters. Can I get you anything?
Yeah, I would actually like to go out to my fridge and get a water. So
okay, Jake, you got the helm. Hey,
take a break. Let's take a break.
I wish I could, join you, but we can't. So there I was, left all alone. You know what? I'll give you guys a little rundown. I mean, now might be a perfect time to go over there and subscribe to Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. I mean, we need to get his subs up here, and they're free, bud. They're free. Go over there, hit the bell, make sure you get all the notifications, so you can be notified when one of his videos comes up. Now, there's a list of all the videos and the run times. 135. What? He's back already?
Hey!
Jeez, little
holy cow! Got me some water. Boy, I'll tell you, across out here in front of my house, we have an artesian.
Order of water.
Hey.
Oh yeah, they got runoff down here in the creek. Got a 1-inch black tube just pouring out continuously.
Yeah.
Out mowing the lawn in the summer, go over and grab a cold glass of water, guzzle it down.
That's so nice.
Can't beat it. Right out of the mountain stream.
Mountain stream, nice tie-in.
Right out of the mountain stream.
There's one in Baker's Mills outside the old Wesleyan Church, right there on Route 8. That we still go at the ski shop. Cheers, big ears.
Nice.
And
nice. Yeah. Cheers.
We fill up like 5 of 6 of those big 5-gallon water jugs, and so we drink only the freshest spring water.
It's like that water and the water at Burns Road are the best 2 waters in the ATK that I've had.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of other good water. It's the ATK. Come on.
Well, they shut down the Chester water tub.
Yeah.
That had
been there since I was old enough to know I was driving in a car. That place was just that steel pole or galvanized pole was hanging out.
Did you ever party there?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. It's a good thing there isn't it? Yeah, no flies on the wall down there. There've been a lot
of
things.
Oh my god, the things that used to go on down there are crazy.
Oh yeah.
We're not in the middle of the open. We didn't care.
Wide open.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
That's some fun stuff.
Yeah, the Lewis boys lived up there, just up the dirt road, and right on.
What do you think? Um, what do you think about like in the winter time here? What you got going on now? Do you like wind it back during the winter? Do you start working on stuff in the studio versus maybe getting out in the fields? Do you think that there is like something to be said about squatching in the wintertime, or do you think that it's just a waste of time? What's your winter
No,
like?
I actually wish that I could totally be out there 24/7. I
Hmm.
I don't have any definite answers for as to whether there's that whether Sasquatch frequent vast territories in the winter more or less than they would in the summer. I don't have any answers for that. But as far as going out and doing work out in the woods in the winter, there is less leaf cover. So you have, did we lose it?
No, we hear you fine.
We
You
hear
just
you.
all of a sudden just disappeared.
I disappeared.
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
fine now.
All right.
It's got to be on our end somehow.
On my
Okay.
end, it says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
Huh. Okay, let's go to the chat here. See, is everyone else seeing us besides? What can people see? Can you see? Can you guys see the whiz?
What I see is just Adam and Jake.
Huh.
That's what I see too.
Yeah. What are you?
This isn't cool.
Now it's okay. There. Hey.
I just took you out and put you back in.
Hey, it's unplug it and put it back in.
I'll plug it back in.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
God, that worked like a
Nice. The
charm.
Fonz. That was the
Mhm.
Fonz.
Arthur Ponzarelli.
Yeah.
Right
Arthur
on.
Fonzo, that's right. That's right. Okay, let me see. I had one thing here. I wanted you to share with us, John. I have a series of pictures that you sent us, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
right on.
And
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put them up, and I want you to kind of talk about what's going on in these pictures.
Okay.
First, I don't know if this is something you already talked about, but let's just start it right here.
Okay. Ah, yeah. Okay. So that picture there, I thought was going to be a big find, and it may be more than what I allowed it to be, or it may have been just what I concluded. At first, I only thought there was one track. I revisited the area a few times. As you can see, my equipment, notepad, tape measures out. I outlined it in parachute rope just for video purposes at that time so that people could see where the general impression was. I ran some video, took down all the information that I could think to do at the time. And Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot had said, I'd like to see you get down there and dissect every square inch of that and really get into it. And what he didn't know is that by the time he had said that, I had already been at that. So I do have more video material where I did just that. I ended up pulling that apart needle by needle and worked my way down until I got to the layer where I figure was probably 1 or 2 winters ago. And it was starting to decompose together where I couldn't grab any more single material. So I had gotten down to the base. Looking at it, I just simply could not definitely see toes, and it was still one track. So I was like, all right, I think at one time I ran out of time and I had to come back to it again. I decided to bring up a comb rake and comb rake the whole entire area and take the top layer of leaves off so that I could see if there was any other impressions. Well, of course, the first time I went up to do that, I forgot the rake, so I had to do it by hand. And of course, you have to be super careful because you have to start with a small area so you have an area to stand. You got to check that area. There's no track. Now you can do a bigger area. Blah, blah, blah. I end up getting, over a period of 2 different times, I clear that entire area, probably 20 feet away from that track, looking for other track. In this picture, my camera, as we're viewing the picture, is on the left. And there is another impression that is identical to that. And then from the center of one impression to the other is 39 inches. And they're facing the same way. And once I had seen that, I was debating on whether or not to bring this back up. But you know, I was also listening to the comments of my peers, which I, you know, consider my friends, and just like you guys and the people that I had mentioned. And if I forget any of you guys, I'm so sorry. I mean, I should have a list right here in front of me, so I don't. But
of all the lists and facts and numbers you have, bud, you better.
Yeah, I don't have like a written list of my friends. I wish they were all in my phone so that they could text me. Maybe someday it would be better to communicate through Zoom and text, but maybe someday. Either way,
inches. That's a wide
somebody
stance.
brought up a comment in one of the shows and had said, I remember hearing it, said something about if a Sasquatch had jumped out of a tree and landed on the ground. And when they said that, I wanted to put in the comments, I think that might be what happened here, but I couldn't think of how to word that. And I was like, well, if you're not too sure about what you're saying, there's other folks in here that'll take that the wrong way. So just don't say anything. I have all of the video, and I can put that all together and present it once I have it put together proper. But I can tell you right now with this picture that there were 2 tracks. Center to center was 39 inches apart. And those tracks are, jeepers. Well, I would have to look in my book, or if you can make that, what are they, 16, 17 inches? They were big. And I was very impressed that the other track was identical. And to the best of my, you know, my not even recollection. I mean, I'm standing there staring at them thinking, they look like if they were Bigfoot, it is a right foot and a left foot. So, I mean, they look like that could be it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I had spent quite a bit of time. I went up there on a camping trip with I had to watch my son's dog, Silver. We put up the 12-man outfitter's tent and we camped out there, spent a lot of time within a mile of that area, a lot of time within a quarter of a mile. And I started spreading out. I have some other associated situations that, you know, I could speculate, or I could, you know, start entertaining preconceived notions, but I have no hard evidence to tie any of them together. So it's just a little hypothesis going on for me to pay attention to. Next year, I will be going into that area around that time to see if anything will repeat, as far as are they coming through there for any reason, or hanging out in that area for any reason, or migrating through that area, or for whatever. I don't have any clue. Right. But I will be visiting that vicinity, because that spot right there is not very far off the dirt road. It isn't like that is 1.5 miles, 2 miles up in off trail. This I stumbled across because I had seen this shining light in the woods, which is another whole thing. But that's how I ended up coming across that. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting things to still be shown with this. I just want to make sure it's put together right. And when I get it put together, I would like to be able to send it out to folks like yourself and you you know, the folks in the community that have the integrity and the care to look at it and not just say, oh man, yeah, nice dude. Oh boy, there might even have been 8, 9 of them. I'm looking for a little bit more than that, not just the shock and awe. I'd like to analyze it.
It's pretty compelling.
It is.
Now, I have a quick question. We're going to do a couple more of these pictures. I was just wondering, have you ever heard of the Satunga brothers?
No.
The Satunga brothers.
You haven't
Tonga
heard of
brothers.
Satunga brothers.
Are they Indians?
Well,
Are they natives? I'm sorry, I shouldn't
well,
be.
they are native. They are native to the Adirondacks.
All right.
El Darko Sabe and
Star Puppy?
Star Puppy.
Oh, said my furnace just came on. Sound like space shuttle took off. What did you say?
Well,
we were just talking about the Satunga brothers, Star Puppy.
and El Darko Sabe.
Right on.
And have you ever heard about the rapids before?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Okay. Do you want to take a trip down the rapids?
I sure do. Let me shut this door so I can hear you folks. There we go. My apologies.
oh, you're all right. You're fine. The Satunga brothers are about to, what you would call turn the professional wrestling world on its head.
Right on.
With their oh, there they are. Are you serious? This just in.
Oh boy. Problem here. Okay. Can you hear me? Technical.
Yep. Sounds maybe like the winter storm starting to take effect up here.
Yeah.
Maybe little Darth Vader.
Does that sound any better?
That's a little better, yes.
Okay, we're just gonna have to go with this right here.
Are
Okay,
you
let's see here.
serious?
We're gonna do the rapids.
right.
What?
And we're gonna introduce you. We're gonna run you down the rapids here. We're gonna bring in some guests. Everybody welcome the Satunga brothers. Everybody welcome the Satunga brothers.
What? Are you serious?
All right, hold on, you two.
It looks like
Here
El
we
Darko
go.
Sabe and Star Puppy have arrived.
Star Puppy's here. Star Puppy's here.
All right, let's get her going on here.
Now,
All right, we got the rapids.
all right. Well, you know how this starts. It's a free association kind of. We're gonna ask
Okay.
you a series of questions. Just
Okay.
give them your responses quickly and without thinking as fast as you can.
And you will be timed.
And you're gonna be timed.
This-
So
It's all about research, or
it's
That's
all
up to
about
us
everything.
to know.
all
what
right,
it
all
is.
right, all
You're
right.
gonna fixing
All
to
right.
find out here.
Let me
And
get,
are you ready, Star Puppy?
get my hat
Star
on.
Puppy's a go.
Star Puppy's a go. El Darko Sabe says we start in 3, 2, 1.
Cocoa Puffs or Raisin Bran?
Raisin Bran,
Who's your favorite actor?
John Wayne,
What's your signature meal to cook?
spaghetti meatballs,
Crane Mountain or Buck Mountain?
Crane Mountain.
Do you love water slides?
Yes,
Murphy's or Brayley and Knoxon?
Braley and Oxen,
Pleiades or Cassiopeia?
Cassiopeia,
Steak fries or what's that?
Tater tots.
Tater tots.
tater tots all the way.
Woohoo! What's your favorite actor's last movie?
Top Gun,
Who's winning the Super Bowl?
Cowboys. If they didn't lose the other day, I don't know yet.
Go on.
But
How'd I do?
respectable.
56-31.
All right.
50, 55, and well, before we
56.
had a little 56:31 is your official time.
56:31 is your official time.
56:31. Right on. Right on. Good. Good.
We had-
Wiz, you did very
I
good.
love that.
I'm gonna get the boys back on. I got some more BLB stuff to talk to you about.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
The brothers for life.
They want to know what's up with this picture here.
Ha.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, the juiced up version would be that there was a strange individual in the woods that got in the way of my camera while I was observing something else that was strange as well. To be honest with you, I've keep watching it and watching it and watching it, and I've had it on my movie editing software. My talent to vet video and sound is in the making. It's increasing. Like I said, I just downloaded Audacity. I have been learning how to operate and understand what listening and reading and amplitude and all of the things about sound along with video. So until I get those skills, I would rely heavily on somebody that has those skills to try to let me know what that right there with a forehead, something that looks like a forehead and dark eyes and nostrils. Right now, it looks like something. In the background, and there is two other alleged faces. Hope I'm saying that right. I don't know, and I'm investigating that heavily. Actually, yeah. So all that could be out of focus camera in forest material that's making it appear to look like it's something it's not. Or I could be totally wrong, and that could be a Martian. I it's intriguing to look at. I had thought if that thing was hanging 8 inches away from my camera and it just looks like it's a long ways away, it almost looked like a tube that a wasp puts her eggs up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say: faulty focus faces are fallacious and fallible.
Very well said, man. Very well said.
I wanted to know a little bit about this too. I mean, you were just talking about like your audio and stuff. We haven't
Yeah.
really touched on this bad boy.
Yes.
We got to see this.
Yeah.
We got to look. We got to touch that thing. It's really lightweight. It's It's got a great hand feel. Very ergonomic in the hands.
Yeah.
And, I would love to mess around with that thing.
You were trying to take it home.
Borrow it anytime you want, man. Just
Okay,
let
cool.
me know. You guys can borrow that. That's a lot of fun right there.
So what if you had like some good success or some
Yeah.
things, just like what's like something you've heard that you might
So
want to share?
so I've heard tons of really cool stuff. I mean, I've even heard animals chewing food in the woods,
Oh, cool.
but I don't know what animal.
Mhm.
I can't see it on video. I mean, you can take that parabolic and be up on a mountain, or you can be in a valley, wherever you're at. That was a great spot because I had absolutely nothing in the way, and I was up I don't even know if I went to bed that night. 2, 3. Again, I have to go back and check, but I stayed up as late as my eyeballs would stay open, and heard things walking around in the woods. And when you have the earphones on, sometimes once you get right on it, I mean, you'd swear you just stop and take the earphones off, be like, no way, man, that thing's walking right on me. It's
That's so cool.
Here. Yeah.
That sounds incredible.
So there was one evening when I actually was I had a deer walk within 20 foot of me, and I'm watching it on my thermal. And again, it nonchalantly was figuring he can't see me. So it wasn't even phased a bit. It just walked right by me and kept going up into the woods and grazing on the ground. And I used that opportunity to get that parabolic right on it and follow it. And then I would go away from it on purpose and try to find it again. And I could hear you could hear the saliva. If you got right up into the mouth, you could hear the saliva in its mouth moving its tongue and stuff. That's how crystal clear
That's
was.
crazy.
Yeah, like a cow eating in the pasture.
Yeah. So I think it's a great tool. You'll be able to hear great things. And I suppose what I've been really waiting for is the distance I'll get out of that. If have that aimed up through a valley that's 2.5, 3 miles out, and if a Sasquatch lets out a hoot, a holler, a sustained call, or something real happens, I should be able to get really crystal clear audio of that. And owl sounds, even just common animals in the woods. I think I have like 29 recordings on that Zoom recorder that I haven't even uploaded to my computer. And I know there's a whole bunch of interesting stuff that I haven't even listened to. And it's crystal clear.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And you can't tell like how far there was where I was actually, I'll tell you guys, I was up on Route 8 past Brant Lake, headed up Graphite Mountain, and the first pull off on the right over the bank down there's like bones all over the place. I call it the boneyard down there, and I stumbled across it. But either way, I was parked there way late into the evening with that parabolic, and I was scanning all them mountains out into there. And I'd hear this owl hoot sounded like it was 30 feet from me.
That's cool.
And I'd look past the parabolic and try to think and remember what the mountains look like and be like, man, I am aimed out there. I'm not even aimed down low at this first ridge that's only a half mile away. Like, I'm out. Where is that? How far away is that? That thing was powerful, man. It's a great piece of equipment. Just got to learn how to use it proper.
Yep, gotta have some fun with it. Take it out and experiment. Have you spent any time up in the Blue Ledges area, up in Minerva, top of Minerva Hill, Northwoods Club Road? It's a like 2.1 mile hike, I believe, back on a kind of like meandering path, not real steep, a couple little uphills, mostly flat, a little wet. It goes back to the Hudson River.
There's ledges. There's ledges there, and people they raft down through there.
Exactly.
Sure. That's where they stop, and you can hike into the spot where they stop to take their lunch break.
Yeah, I don't know why I was back there, but that was a while back ago. That might even have been for school.
Yeah.
Or it was just going back there with Kelly or something like that. I don't know, but I have been back there. Don't they call it? You just said it, right? The Blue Ledge.
Blue Ledge Trail.
Yeah.
We always call it the Blue Ledges when we were kids growing up.
Blue Ledges.
But as far as like after that and going up there, frequenting that up there, no. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's a good spot. We heard a call, which we think was like a rogue male. When we were back in there, the ice was still on Huntley Pond. There's a little pond that you kind of meet, you kind of walk around it as you start in the first part of the trail. You can see the pond clearly from the road in the parking area, and so there's ice on the lake, on the pond, and we're walking around, and it was so quiet that day. It was spooky. I don't know if I've ever heard it that quiet in my life in the woods. It was just silent. The only thing you could hear was the water going over the culvert going out and underneath the road. That was the only thing you could hear. There was no wind. There was no nothing. And so we're hanging out, and obviously it's just if you want to do this stuff, you got to have the stuff rolling the entire time you're out there.
Yeah.
So we didn't have it rolling at that one moment. This thing screams, and it was coming from quite a distance away. It was a ways away.
Yeah.
And it was like a roar.
Okay.
It sounded like roar, like a monster roar.
Wow.
And it reverberated and echoed. And we're up there. We're the only ones there, all by ourselves. And this roar happened. And I'm thinking, if we would have had something like what you have, like going out that direction and caught something like that,
Oh,
like
snap.
forget about it.
That would give everybody something to really study. I like
That's
beyond just being, you know, in awe about listening to it. Beyond that, to break that audio and that voice down scientifically, these like folks that really know
sure.
how to
Mhm.
use that spectrogram and break that down, that would give that's what we need.
Yeah,
We
it'd be pretty
need
sweet.
some good solid crystal clear audio or video to start studying good stuff. Yeah,
I'd like to kind of
that would have been
reproduce.
awesome, man.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of reproduce that experience, not try to like make the same exact thing happen again, but try to go in there at that same time
Yeah.
of year, or at least pay attention to the ice because we got
Mhm.
this year. You never know when the ice is going to let out.
Yeah.
But up there, the ice is safe and Huntley because it's just small and it's a little up north. I'm sure it's perfectly fine right now. But
Right.
if you want to go in with us, we could kind of go up there and do like a similar, like 4 hours.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more. Maybe bring some food and just go around that general area, around the pond, and maybe over towards maybe where it came from. I've had some
Mhm.
other really. I don't want to bore people with my stories, but I've had some other really scary and
Yeah.
spooky, unexplainable stuff happen back in there.
Oh, that's
So
intriguing.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why I was wondering if you ever been back there.
How long ago did you say that was? Or
The,
like,
the howl we heard was 5 years ago,
okay,
and the other stuff happened. I was probably like 24 years old, 25, so
okay,
that was like 150 years ago.
150. Yeah.
So
Right on.
anyway, I want to bounce a couple
24.
other ideas. I want to pick your brain about a couple things that are, this whole thing has a realm of possibilities. There's all these things some people believe in. Some people are
Yeah.
like, the whole thing. Is it flesh and blood? Are there
Sure.
is there such a thing as a being that could be in different like parallel universes?
Right.
Is there like some
Sure.
kind of who knows what's going on? What do you think? What do you think these things are? I mean, do you think that they can go into like a different dimension and be right next to you and have that type of ability, or do you think they're just solely these things that we just can't catch up with, or a mix of both?
Hmm.
I don't
Oh wait,
know
no,
what
wait,
kind of thing.
I just want to interject because I
Yeah.
forgot it last time, and this time, kind of like your event in the woods was kind of like an emotional roller coaster. You were like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is it." It's the big one, Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's how
you
I
know,
felt.
but it's like, all right, but then maybe you got hit with the Bigfoot mind speak, and he calmed your nerves with that blanket that you said that you're like, you know what, whatever. Like the attitude was like, we're gonna go right through it, and
I
it is what
did
it
give
is.
that thought, Jake. I
Yeah.
did. I don't talk about it much, and I give it thought as far as I hear what everybody's saying, and yes, it's right here. It's right here, and I keep it right with me. I don't go horse shit. I don't. Because I can't prove it wrong. I think it's probably not likely, but yet this thing keeps happening. In some of the instances, it happens to people that I don't know, they might be telling the truth. There might be something to it. See, if you got to be honest about the whole thing, you got to keep it all on the shelf. Don't just throw it away and pay attention because there might be something to it. I mean, 200 years ago, if somebody would have told a hunter down in Africa that a lion emits infrasound, that hunter probably would have said, "What are you smoking, man?" They don't, well, scientists have proved that they're proving more animals, elephants and lions that project infrasound that have an ability to project a call that we
Squid.
can't pick up in very long distances or to stun their game. So we're still learning. So maybe there's some more learning to be done there. And so I don't boohoo it, and I don't harp on anybody that's really investigating that. I don't entertain, or I don't um I don't know the word. I don't I just can't think of the word, you know. I don't help them along, you know. I don't interject and be just like, you know what, you might be right, bud. That you're right
Courage.
onto something. I don't kind of fuel the flame,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to frown
Well,
upon it whatsoever. I'm going to give it that just as much attention as I would give anything else. Simple as that.
I like that attitude. I mean,
Yeah,
pretty
but
much. I mean, that's
what
a good
I'm
one to have.
studying, I am in over my head already with studying the physical aspects of it. And I find myself studying the actual ecology of the woods in the biosphere to the point where I'm figure if the more I can learn about the everything that I'm studying in here, and the more I can recognize changes in the biosphere and the ecology, that should give me the tools I need to recognize the presence of a large 8-foot primate. Where before I was working off my heels with just, I'm a whitetail hunter. I used to trap. I know what this is and I know what that is, and I'll go out and find one of those things and club it in the head and bring one out for you. I was
Yeah.
quite confident I was going to be able to get film of that, especially because I don't have a problem going up into the woods at night and sitting there in the dark and walking around in the dark up in the woods. So I was like, you know, a lot of these folks are not too fond of that. I should be able to get right up there, but unless I'm missing something, you know, I don't have a picture of a Bigfoot walking around, and it's fun studying the ecology, and it gives me something very constructive to do, and I have a plan, you know, my plan is to become very familiar with the biosphere and the ecology and start from the ground up and learn everything there is that I can absorb to learn so that I can tell whether Sasquatch are affecting the forest or not. And not just look at something and say, well, there's no other reason why that. I want to be able to prove there's no other reason why that. I want to look at that and say, listen, I know what kind of lichen that is. I know that's moss. I know how long that takes to grow. I know that rock, when it was moved because of what's growing underneath of it, how long that rock, within a real respectable scientific guess to how long that rock's been rolled over, or how long or why that tree's been broken. Look, in this area, you see the shelf fungus in this area. Do you see why these trees are snapping off? So I'm learning that, and the more I learn, the more I can quickly rule out things that a couple years ago. There you go. Now that's a striped maple. This is a very interesting tree break. And this one here, I have notes to. Okay. This is October 15th, 2022.
Wow.
Time of discovery was 11:15 a.m. The weather, sunny, breezy, 60 degrees. The location was in Research Area 2 on the west side of Long Pond, approximately 300 yards north of the Pine side of the 2020 base camp, and west of the pond, approximately 200 yards. The forested area was hardwoods with scattered white pine and hemlock and a lot of white birch. The tree is a striped maple. The tree break is 108 inches up off the ground level. The tree is 3 inches wide at 12 inches up from the stem, up the base of the stem. The tree diameter is 11.5 inches. The total length is 33 foot, which includes the stem and the break in the fall. The tree's condition currently a complete snap with only a thin portion of outer bark holding on the break point. No apparent fungus or disease. Moderate surface lichen and very little moss. Surrounding trees are equally covered and alive. Fully mature leaves are brown. No apparent deadfall could have caused this tree to break. It's pointing 186 degrees south towards the 2020 base camp on the west side of Long Pond. You hear me keep referring to where it's pointing in the 2020 base camp because for some time there's some hypothesis out there that Sasquatch would break a tree with purpose, pointing towards something or pointing and saying you can go this way or you can't go that way, or maybe this is over here, or for a directional purpose. Some folks think it may be a show of force, and some folks have other hypotheses about it. I stand on the ground that I think it's very unlikely that any primate that roams the Adirondack Park would not manipulate the forest in some fashion that we will be able to visually see and pick out. White-tailed deer scrape their horns on trees and paw at the ground and fight each other. Crows love shiny things and grab twigs and make nests. Birds make nests. Cats will draw sticks up into like a rocky area sometimes to make a bedding area. Bears will dig a hole in the ground to make a den. They'll tear trees apart to get to grubs and bees, larvae, and such. I have audio that I got caught up and listened to the other day and got off from this the audio drop and walkout file. There's a lot of notes and pages and stuff that I've gone through the video and audio second by second and marked everything that was going on so that I can explain those two videos that I put out in grave detail out of respect. That I'm so sorry I couldn't do it quicker, but I had to film my daughter's 2022 Believe ballet show. The guy got COVID. I got called in to do it and I nailed it. And I'm so proud of myself. I got it done and I was 44 hours straight. And sent it down to Donald, and we just got the CD, and everybody's loving it. It was awesome. So
congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I have these owl sounds, and they're pretty crystal clear. Now they're only on that Philips DVT 4110. It's a very generic recorder. You can get them at Best Buy for $100, but they do the trick. At least it's running. I hear a knock. This is wood on wood. Matter of fact, if you guys wanted me to, I could probably turn the recorder on and find it, and I could hold it up there, but let's not do that. Let's wait until it's together on Audacity. I kept listening to it, and I'm not going to actually say a number of times, but enough times to where it became, I had to keep going back and listening to it. Every time an owl hoots, before it hoots or after it hoots, imagine taking a police nightstick and hitting a telephone pole or a maple tree. Pum. Just hit it. Pop. Woo, 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 woo. And it's right close. Click. I'm asleep in my tent or in my truck. You can hear me snoring every now and then. So I'm asleep. This is at night, and I have my recorder outside, and so I'm intrigued to find out if this is an owl. That's what is he is it making a noise with its body, clacking its teeth together, or is it pecking a piece of wood? But I'm not kidding you. I'll get a hold of you. I'll send it to you so you can listen to it.
Please.
Yes, I will. It's amazing. And I cannot figure out for the life of me. I mean, just the wood knocks alone would be pretty intriguing to somebody. The fact that it wasn't just one every hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, this is going on for like half an hour, 45 minutes. This recording in one stretch of about 25 minutes to a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. It's happening periodically, like you just one right after another, just click. Woo, 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 woo. And then you just wait like 3, 4, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something. Cluck. Woo, 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 woo. And then you hear one going off in the distance over there. And then I was thinking, well, is it just this one owl? And then all of a sudden you hear it cluck. And the owl way off in the distance will do his call, but this one doesn't. And then all of a sudden, 5, 10 minutes later, this one does the call and then a click. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty cool to listen to.
It sounds really fun. I'm excited to listen to it. I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yeah.
They're trying to, it sounds like they're trying to get your attention. They keep thrashing stuff around, zipping stuff through the woods. Now they're making these knocks. It's, that's something, we always talk about, like, what is it about, certain people? It's like sometimes you don't try looking for any of it, or maybe you even try not to look for it. It always seems to find you. Just like trouble, just, but,
That's so true, man. Yeah.
All
like a butterfly, you try chasing them around, they fly away from you. You hold still and put your arms out and close your eyes, and they'll land on your arm.
Yeah. Let's go.
That's a nice one.
Hey, it's past the 10 o'clock mark. We've done really well here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done a 2-hour show.
But
I was gonna say, if
Yeah.
there's anything that you want to
this is quite an impressive resume you have here, Wiz.
And I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
We did some digging. We paid for a little background check.
Right on.
And you've got 134 videos out there on the YouTubes.
Nice.
2,497.29 minutes of content. You joined YouTube the 9th of December 2015 to today. That's a span of 2,598 days, or 63 seconds of content per
Good
day
job.
on average.
Right on.
And, you have a selfie. You're photographed in 74 of 134 of your thumbnails. So that's like a 55% that they get a shot of your mug.
Your face, man.
And you have 40,541 views, 521 subs, or 4.8 views per sub. But look at all these digits and these numbers. You've got a lot of
Holy
videos.
Moses, bud, you went right at it.
There's a lot of numbers here.
Yes, sir. You did good, Jake.
You were like Jean Valjean. It was the other guy, Javert. He's just the facts.
Ooh, Javert.
Yeah, he's Javert. Actually, he's the Javert.
He's the good Javert.
Yeah, the good one.
He's the good Javert.
Good Javert.
Right on.
Wiz, there's a lot more that we could talk about. And
sure.
I think what we should do is we should get to know each other a little bit more. We got to go in the field again.
Yeah, man.
I want to go in the field with you.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other ideas that I'd like to talk to you in private about that are just side projects, fun stuff, but also relatable. And
Thanks, guys.
This spring, Blue Ledges.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
bud.
We'll see if Nolan can get the time to come with us. And,
right on, man.
Yeah. And I would just like to show you and share some stories that happened back in the day up in there.
Yeah, I would absolutely. You drop a call and I'll make the time. I'll be up there.
I feel like we barely scratched the surface here. I had like 4 more pages. You've got a couple. We'll have to get together.
There's a lot untouched.
We'll get together another time. Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll get together another time.
Yeah.
We'll get to learn more. Really appreciate the time. Having a field researcher like yourself who is not only incredibly in depth, but here where we live, like right where we live,
That's right.
doing the same things
Yeah,
and going in,
Adirondack,
not the
man.
same things we do, but a lot of the same locations, a lot of the same places
Yeah.
you're going, and you're having whatever you
I
want to
might
call
even
them.
be moving up you guys'
Are-
way here soon. Yeah.
Oh, really? Where?
Maybe,
Chestertown?
I mean, that's what I'm
Neighbors.
looking for because, although I'm born and raised in the Adirondacks, about 5 years ago, I found this place down here in Middle Grove, so just outside of Saratoga. And, I'd have to get in my truck and drive a couple miles up on this road before I crossed into the past the blue line. So, I'm
Yeah.
just outside now, but, listen, I was in the Adirondacks my entire life and born and raised right there, stomping grounds. I spent so much time. My old man had a shed up there in North Creek. Our tool shed was out there. So yeah, right on, man.
Nice.
We share the same earth.
Yes, big time. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's so relatable for us to watch your
Yeah.
shows
Yeah.
and just be a part of it. It's awesome.
You up on Crane? That was incredible, dude. Like
This-
that's been our home since we were
Yeah,
kids.
that's an incredible spot. I'll tell you, I read a story because I was trying to learn about the land and the history of the land. You guys can look this up, but they when they were dealing with slavery and stuff and getting ready to have the Revolutionary War, or I mean the Civil War, there was some forces that came from up north and they came through the woods right by Crane Mountain. That's the passage they took to go out to Johnstown to whoop that dude out there. And look it up. It's
That's
quite
interesting.
interesting.
Oh yeah. No.
Wow.
Because I have pictures of all these little stones that are on boulders out there in the middle of the woods. And I'm like, who put all these stones on here? And then when I read that story, I was like, have they been setting here since back when these guys were coming through on musket guns and camped out? Because that's what the story
that
says,
farm.
that they kind of grew roots there to take a rest and then go down and do battle. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where I'm watching your videos and you're in a place where you're not really actually saying where you are, but you're just doing some field research and showing some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know exactly
No,
where he is. Like exactly where you are. And it's not like it's on the trail.
Yeah,
It's
right
off
on.
the trail or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know those trees.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly what you're looking at. It's
That's
freaking
cool, man.
insane. It's
Yeah,
insane.
that's
It's
freaking cool.
It's really fun. It's really fun. So anyway, brother, thanks again for coming, being
Thank
part
you,
of the
guys.
show. Thanks
Yes.
for bringing brushing the dust off Mountain Stream for us, getting us back
Right on, man.
doing a live show.
it's
really, it's been, I can't believe how long
It's
it's
been
been.
so
But it's a
long.
pleasure to have you
Yeah.
get us back into it, man. And
It's been a real pleasure to be here with you guys, and you guys do a great show. Keep up the good work, and I can't wait to get out in the field with you guys.
awesome.
Awesome.
Really looking forward to it. Everybody that was here and did the live chat, watched our show,
We love
thank
you.
you very much.
Yeah, love all you
Appreciate-
guys.
Love all you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. And just love you. Peace.
Take care, folks.
Deuces.